Hello and welcome to Digital Photo Mentor Live. I'm Darlene, and today we're going to be talking about editing scary images. I just want to check that everybody can hear me okay. Yes, you should tune in, Rob. How is my audio sync? Is that okay? We were testing some stuff this afternoon to make sure that the audio synced better than last time. So I want to double check. Greetings from Ottawa to David. Out of sync. Okay, let me see if I can change it. Okay, I just edited it. How is this? Any better? It just came back. Well, I just edited it. So is it good now? Excellent. Okay. There's just a setting that I could change for how many frames to offset it when I'm doing this. But today we're going to be trying to make some scary images. So like the one that I made for the featured image for this live stream. So I can show you how I did that and the steps that I used to create that. I actually used one of Linda's images. Linda's in our community. And I know that Cindy sent an image and I just downloaded it. So I have to import that into my Lightroom as well. So I've got some scary images. Let me call them up on my screen here. There we go. Am I still in sync? Let's just double check that. How's that? Are we still good? Yes, no? So, okay, he said back at sync. David's in good sync. Good sync. Ha, 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 ha. For those of you that use that software, a good sync is literally a syncing software for backing up your computer and stuff. Out a bit again. Oh my goodness. It seems like every time I change the scene, it was fine. Is it okay? Testing. I know you have to wait about 9 seconds before you guys hear it. A bit hard to hear. Okay, let me check my volume. Check your volume as well. I've got mine turned all the way up, so it should be good. I can check my mic settings. Let me do that. That's my mic app. You don't need to see that. Okay, let me check that. Is that any better, Marguerite, for sound? See, this is why we have to do all of these things. Okay, Rob says leave it there. All right, I'm not touching it. Hopefully the volume is a little bit better now. I've got it turned all the way up as far as I can go up here. There we go. Should be at max here. All right, so I'm going to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the image that Cindy sent. I haven't even looked at it next. So I know that I put it in my downloads. So I have to find my downloads. It's not in my pictures. It's right in here somewhere. Let's see. Looks like this one. Okay, so that, I don't know if that's spooky or not, but let's have a look. And once I get it here, I'm going to drag it over to our other location. So I imported it where it was, which was in my downloads. So this is just a little process I can share with you. And then once I've got it there, I can just drag it over here, which is on my external drive. Okay, so now it's with all the other images. And I've got it sorted so that I'm only showing... Oops, where is Cindy's? Let's give hers a yellow as well. So I had them color-coded for... images for what things people want their images edited in. And I'm pretty sure Cindy uses Lightroom, but I'll double check that. Okay, so this is the spooky image that I put together. So let me show you the two originals. Okay, so this one was by Linda, and I thought that this house looked really spooky-ish, you know, looked kind of abandoned. And I put it with this image of a shadow, which is by Kate. So these were images that were submitted previously. I think this one was submitted for shadows, and this one might have been submitted for urban or something else. But I was going through sort of the images that were submitted, and I was looking for anything that was scary. Okay. So what I did was I processed it first. And this is the processed version. Okay. So you could see that I did a screenshot, or I did a virtual copy. Sorry. So this is the original. Let me just unedit it. Yeah, this is fully unedited. So that's the original. Okay, that's the original. And then that's the edit that I did in Lightroom. Okay, so you could see I've corrected some distortion, turned it into black and white because I wanted to make it real spooky. And I darkened down the sky, and I did that with some masking. Okay, so I did a mask on the sky itself, right? And I lowered the whites and the exposure. And then I did a mask on the house, but I didn't want the roof because the rooftops here were too bright. So what I did was I just increased the texture and the clarity. But in doing so, right, if I turn it off, it does kind of brighten it as well. And I didn't want the roof any more contrasty or bright, so I eliminated that. I minused the roof with the brush, okay? And then in this third mask, I did all the bright areas. So I used a couple of linear gradients, right, over here and over here. And then I just brushed in a little bit of other bits where I wanted to darken. So what I did here was I lowered the texture and the clarity because I didn't want those things to stand out as much. So remember the 4 things that stand out in your image that will grab attention. One is the brightest area of your picture, the sharpest areas with high contrast, and areas of bright color. So obviously we don't have color here, but the roof was high contrast and bright. So I wanted to minimize that, and it was sharp as well. So I wanted to minimize the sharpness of the roof. I lowered the highlights and the texture and the clarity, okay? So that's what I did with the mask. So if I turn off the masks, and I'm hiding and showing the where the mask is going with the O key here, okay? So if I hold this down, okay, so that's without the mask. See how bright the sky is and the roof? Now the roof is less so, and we see more of the texture in the actual house. Okay, does it look spookier? I kind of wanted it to be spookier. And I think I could probably go farther, you know, like if I went with darken the sky even more, right? Like I could really take it down, right? But I could play with that in the after version as well. So then with the other image, I needed to make it into a full silhouette. So I started with this. This is the original. And I boosted the heck out of the contrast. Okay, so you see how I've got the dehaze cranked all the way up, because dehaze literally sharpens and increases contrast at the same time. It's like adding mega amounts of black, right? So then I've got the black enhanced. Actually, I could probably minimize that. The white pushed up. And I wanted to lower the texture and the clarity because I wanted a soft edge to this shadow, okay? So let's see if I did a tone curve as well. See, I also added some contrast there. So like I said, I went over the top with contrast. I didn't use any masking here, okay? So just the basic edits and a black and white conversion. Then I combined them in Photoshop and added a texture, okay? So let me show you how I did that in Photoshop. I also expanded the edge. You'll notice if I look at these two images together, right, you'll notice that the one on the right has more on the side. So I used the expand and I used the AI to fill in the sides to make it a wider image, because for YouTube, for example, they want a 16:9 ratio. And if I try to crop the house, I was cutting off the top of the roof. So I didn't want that. So I wanted a nice wider aspect ratio. So I just added some more in Photoshop. So there are times when I do use the generative AI tools, not very often, but in this case, it came in really handy. Okay. So let's go to Photoshop. So I'm going to edit in. So remember, this is a PSD document. So this is the one that I've made putting those two images together. So when you open it again, if you've done a Photoshop layered file and you want to get back to the layers, you need to go edit in Photoshop, okay? Don't open it as another smart object. and make sure you open the original, okay? If I open it with a copy, it's going to make a new Photoshop document with no layers, okay? So I want to be able to show you the layers that I used to make this, right? And I think we talked about this a little bit. Is Charlene here? I haven't seen it. Charlene yet. Charlene, I think, was asking about layers. Or was it you, Karen? Karen was asking about layers. So this is what I wanted to show you, okay? Wait for my Photoshop to open, and now my tools are all on the wrong screen. Now I got to move everything over. So I'm used to working on the other screen. Okay, there's my tools and my other things. Okay, so I just want you to have the toolbar. Okay, so now, let's move this over here. All right, now I'm set. Okay, so press F and then Command 0 will fill it to the screen, okay? If your background of Photoshop is too gray, for example, or like light gray like this, just right-click anywhere on the background and you can change it to like a darker gray or to black, because I want it to be sort of neutral, right? I don't want it to take over. So I usually go with medium gray or the dark gray, okay, on the background color. And you can do that with Lightroom as well. You can change the background color, okay? I mean, I can make it red if I want, but it just throws your editing off, right? So I want it as neutral as possible. Oh, we need to see layers. Hang on. Where's my layers? Here's my layers. Okay, so you need to see my layers. Here we go. Yes, I struggle when I go from one monitor to the other because I work the opposite. I work with my image on the other screen and my tools on this screen. So when we're doing live, I forgot I switched them around. Okay, so here's all my layers. Now it looks complicated, right? But let me turn them all off, right? So to get that, I just pressed Option and the eyeball, okay? Option and the eyeball turns everything off except the one you're clicking on, and then the same thing turns them all back on again, okay? So you could see the original image, okay? Look at that. There's the original image, and you could see that indeed I added the bits on the side. So first, what I did was, when I opened it originally, I opened the two images, so the house and the man, as layers in Lightroom, okay? So remember, when you're in Lightroom, I'm just going to pop back over here. To get that opened, what I did was, that can just stop doing its thing. I chose this image and this image, did edit in and open as layers. You can also do, oops, where'd it go? Open as smart object layers. Okay, so I think I did smart object layers, okay? And then it opened these two layers for me, okay? So they would have been open like this. Yeah, I didn't do smart objects. I just did as layers. Then what I did was, if I turn this one off, okay, you can see that it's literally just been reduced to a shadow, okay? So what I did to this layer, okay, was you can see that the opacity is lowered to 80%. It's set to darken blend mode, okay? Because if I set it to normal, you see all the sidewalk and everything. And then I masked it, okay, so that all the other stuff, because all the stuff on the side I didn't want showing, right? That's the original image. And I also resized it, okay? So I resized it, positioned it where I wanted it, and then masked it so I just had the guy, okay? So if I want to, move him around, for example, right? Maybe I don't want him on the door. Maybe I want him over a little bit, okay? Maybe I want to make him bigger. See, I got lots of them there, so we can make them bigger if we want. But I kind of wanted his head visible, so let's do that, okay? And then I used generative AI to give myself to create a, now where's my creating layer? To create a skeleton, okay? So when I'm on this layer, where are we? Can't find my settings. Properties. Here we go. So the properties is where you end up. I had to generate several. Okay. So I asked for an old rocking chair and I just didn't like what I was getting, right? It wasn't sort of realistic looking. I tried different prompts. I tried old wooden rocking chair. That certainly doesn't look like anything I want to sit in, right? And then I tried a chair with a skeleton, and I got that. And then all I did was I clicked on these three dots here. Oh no, where is it? This option here, which gives you a way to refine it. So then I refined it, and I got this one. So it'll work with this version here. Okay, so if I hover over that, show me that. It will give me another variation of this, okay? Just making it sharper and refining it. So it doesn't change everything. It just gives you another variation, okay? But then I thought, okay, the whole thing is just looking too smooth. I want it to be scarier and creepier, and it needs to be kind of rough. So I added a texture overlay, okay? And the texture overlay, if I change this layer, is literally just this. Okay, so that's the layer. And you could see that when I masked it off the house. So that's one from our texture pack. I think that's in the Cuba texture pack. So I put it on, then I masked it, and I also wanted it to be black and white. Okay, so let me change the opacity. I think it was at 80%. So I added a black and white adjustment layer. Okay, so that's done here. And I just added black and white and then adjusted it a little bit. And this little mark here is called a clipping mask, meaning it only applies to the layer below. Oh, I think this one was hard light. Yes, there we go. Okay, so I went through the various different blend modes and I found one that worked well with this texture, and hard light was this. Okay, this clipping mask here, honestly, it doesn't really do much now because it's only affecting the layer right below it. Okay, so that's what that means. If you hold your mouse, where's the little trick? It should be a thing where there, okay, can you see that? So I'm holding the Alt Option key. I don't know if you guys can see that. And my cursor, here, I'll put it over here. See, my cursor changes to a square with a little down arrow thing. Okay, so if I click that, it turns the clipping mask off. If I put it back, and you have to just have your mouse in the right place, and you have to hold Option down, Alt Option, what it does is it applies only to that layer below. Okay, so if I wanted to increase the contrast, for example, in the texture, I could apply another adjustment layer. Let's just do that. Let's just do brightness and contrast. Okay, so there's a brightness and contrast layer. And then when I go to adjust the settings, oh, I need properties again. Then when I go to adjust the settings, let's just increase the contrast. See how it's affecting everything? Okay. I'm just going to do this so you can see. Actually, dark's kind of cool. Okay. But if I only want it to apply to the texture, I got to put my mouse right in between the two layers, hold that Alt Option key, and then click. And it kind of like, it's like it tabs it over. So now it's only applying to the texture layer. Okay, so by giving it some more contrast, we get a little bit more of the texture coming out. See that? And it darkens the sky a little bit. So that's actually kind of cool. I don't mind that. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm just building this layer by layer. Then I wanted to use generative fill. Right, but when you're doing, if this is my top layer, I tried to do generative fill and it said we can't fill from this. It couldn't recognize I needed to be on an image layer of some kind. So then I did a stamp layer. Okay, so oopsie, now my stamp layer is not working. So what I need to do is, because I moved this guy, right? So we moved him. And my stamp layer doesn't have the skeleton for some reason. Why doesn't it have the skeleton? Interesting. I did something different here. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to get rid of this stamp layer and I'm going to make a new stamp layer. So Command Option Shift E. Okay, so now this layer is the same. It merged everything up below here. Okay, and now let's see if my generative fill works. Okay, so when I'm looking at the edges now, okay, I use generative fill on the right, right? generative fill on the left. So I did it in 3 pieces, and then on the far left. Okay, so it still works. I just had to change my stamp layer. Okay, so that's how I made that. Any questions? Oh yes, my hat. You guys like my hat? So my friend April gave me this hat last week because I told her, she saw my racket in my car, and I said I play pickleball, and she's like, "What the heck is that?" So then I told her, you know, it's this game, and I said, yes, I'm old, because she's like 30 something, and she was at some sporting cool or something, a sporting store or something, and she saw this, and she thought of me, and she bought me a hat. So that's how I have it. All right, any questions about this? Cool, cool. Okay, so now I'm going to save it above your pay grade. It's not, I know I went kind of fast, Karen. Let me do another one that's a little bit simpler. Okay, so now I'm just going to hit save and close. Okay, so when you're done in Photoshop, make sure you do save, not save as, and then close. Okay, and when it's done saving, it will close and automatically update the thumbnail in Lightroom. I actually think the shadow is better, bigger like this. Like he's very imposing and scary looking, right? So let's go back to Lightroom. Here's the image. And we should see it update when it's done saving, and he will then be bigger. I've got quite a few. See, there we go. And I think it's better with the sky darkened as well, right? And now I can go in and do Lightroom edits in here too, right? If I want to select the sky. I don't know if it's going to recognize it or not. Hopefully. There's a lot of... Okay, it's picking up some of it. I think if I was going to do it, though, I would darken the roof as well, because the problem there is that the roof doesn't match. That's why I darkened it before, too. So I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so there we are. All right, so now you guys can pick what would you like me to work on next. I've got some Halloween decorations outside a house. We could look at that. That's Sheila's. Stephanie sent in this one, and I thought these roots of this tree might be kind of spooky. I guess the cactus can be spooky. I'm not sure. Well, this is obviously Nevada, where Cindy's at. And I thought we could put a ghost in here, too. So I could take that same image of the guy and actually put it into Venice if we want, and twist it around a little bit. I thought this one could be spooky. Alligators themselves are kind of spooky. I thought the light could be spooky. This tree with a little bit of moss kind of has some texture. I thought this one was a neat idea for also combining with something else. You know, like maybe I could put a skeleton in here or something like that. So what kind of ideas do you guys have? I'll put that up there on the screen. What do you guys think? Making the shadow more transparent, Lee says. How did I get the skeleton in the rocking chair? It was generative AI, Marguerite. I used the generative AI, so I just selected a lasso area there on the porch, and I tried various different prompts, including antique rocking chair, wooden rocking chair, and then I tried old broken down rocking chair with skeleton sitting in it, something like that. So it took me several tries to get that. Make Sheena a ghost in the... Oh, yeah, because I've got that one of Sheena. I have to go find that. The other one holding the pyramid. I think that was Sage. In Venice. Ooh, Sage might be cool in Venice, yeah. Holly's dungeon. Yeah, it is Holly's image. It does look like a dungeon, doesn't it? You know what it needs in there? It needs like some kind of torture device or something, like a barber chair. Ghost in Venice. I can use my photos. Okay, so you guys think we want to make a ghost in Venice? Do you want me to do it in Lightroom Photoshop, or do you want me to do it in Luminar? Because I can do either. So what I'm going to do then, if we want to do Venice, I need to make... I'm just going to add it to a quick collection. So quick collection, I use a lot. Luminar, okay. So quick collections I use a lot. I just set the quick collection to be the target. So when I add this to a collection, it goes in there, and we can either use the same ghosty guy, and I think I might edit this one a little bit more because, oops, where did we go? What in the heck is it doing? Okay, there we go. All right, I want to edit this a little bit more because I think if I do the background, let me select the background, and I can minimize some of this masking that I have to do. All right, so let me just, yeah, there we go. See, brighten the background. Look at that, way better, right? And I think what I did is I also smoothed out his appearance a little bit. Right, now this is as bright as I can go using the sliders. Remember I talked about this with curves? So if you want to go farther, look at this. Okay, I can do a way better silhouette, and I don't have to do so much masking. Okay, so that was just done on the background, right? Actually, look at that. I can get rid of it completely. See that? So I can minimize everything. And then if I do the subject, doing a way better job. Look, I can just make it darker, darker, darker. Probably dehaze as well. So I'm using all of the tricks I know to increase it. Okay. So basically now it's just black and white for the most part, which is good. And then I think what I did was I used, see the edge is kind of rough. I think I just did a cleanup either in here or in Photoshop. So I'll just do it in here real quick using this tool, because I just want to fill in these little gaps so that he's not like missing stuff. Yeah, see, this is the problem that I had before, is it would not fill in. Because when you do a mask, I found that sometimes the cloning doesn't work so good. So I could fix him up in Photoshop. I'll probably just fix him up. Oh, that's better. There we go. Now I can do a mask. Okay, so let's try. That's better. Okay, let's move this up a little bit. So I just want it to look smoother along the edge, like this. See that? It looks like there's something there. Just cleaning it up a little bit, okay? That's not what I wanted, so I'll just make sure it goes to black. Oh, see, every time I do a clone, the AI masks are a pain in the butt because it wants me to redo the mask every time, and it's so annoying. So annoying. Yeah, the cloning is not working so good. Let's see. Is that better? No. This is definitely a bug in Lightroom, because I found that when you do adjust the background and stuff a lot, it doesn't always translate to the cloning tool, which is dumb. Okay, so I'm going to try to fill it in another way, because it should go to at 100%. It should be fully black here, and it's not. So I'm going to do that in Photoshop. Okay, but that's way better. So I went from that to that using the mask, and I just punched up the contrast and the tone curve, right? So now I've got this guy. I'm going to hit B to add him to the quick collection. And then I've got, as Rob said, I've got a couple of other shots that we could use. I've got 2 wolves. And let me see. Okay, so 2 wolves. I just need to find my shots. I know it was on the last day. We did this really cool shot of Sheena, my friend. She's a stunt woman, in the hallway. Let me see if I can do this. And we put her under the spotlight. She was made up like not like a zombie. I guess she was kind of look like a zombie. So she's really spooky looking. My thumbnails are drawing, unfortunately. I deleted all my thumbnails for my entire Lightroom catalog because I found that it was getting too big. And I wish I put them back now because now I have a kind of a mess. Oh, plus I'm only seeing the ones with these colors. So, okay, here we go. Bear with me. It's coming. Bear with me. Any questions about anything while we're waiting for my thumbnails to draw? I think it comes after this. I think it comes after this. Okay. I'm going to take these over to Luminar to do this, Karen. So I'm just preparing them in Lightroom, and I'll take them over to Luminar. Speaking of layers and composites, do you know who's coming to our next webinar? David does. No, I don't think it's the 15th. I don't have my calendar open. Oh, I can open it on my iPad, but it's posted in the community, so it's for community members only. Actually, Rob. One more to the sync delay. You want me to go less or more? Okay, there. How's that? I changed one frame. Sorry, I'm not finding this one of Sheena. Oh, yeah, see, she was all made up to be the body. She was the murder victim. And they actually had her, like, smoke coming out of the body. Creepy, eh? Don't look, Karen, you'll have nightmares. See, for spiders for you, spiders for me, and creepy guts out. For heaven's sake, why can't I find this image? I wish I could build minimal previews. See, like I can make... No. It's taking too long. Sorry, I don't have previews for these images, Rob, so I might have to use the other guy. This was at night. Oh my goodness. Here, let's see if I can find her this way. So it was a movie set that I shot. It was a movie set that I shot for a friend of mine who's a director. And it was really fun. It was definitely a really cool experience. Apparently I didn't flag anything. Those are all rejects, so that's no good. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Event is the 15th. Yes, it's a private event for community members. So if you are not a community member, we have Renee Robin. So do you want me to just proceed with the other image that I have? Because this one's taking really too long to find. Or I could find that one of Sage. There she is. Okay. I'll put this one in there. Okay. Let's go to that one. Okay. So here's my quick collection. I was working on some composition stuff. So these are the ones that came out in the email earlier today. So if you saw that, we also have our night workshop up for registration now. So now we've got this one, and this one. So we could do some things with this. She's going to be harder to cut out of this image and put her into this one because it's also a different lens, right? So I think we're probably going to be better off with the shadow again because doing a major cutout here is going to be a real challenge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick edit on this one. Make sure I change the... this is actually not my image, Rob. This is David Brownlee's image. I'm going to use standard. I think this is a Nikon file. Yeah, Nikon. Right. So the lights are clipping, which is fine because they're lights. And we want it spooky. So I'm going to give it just a little bit more warmth so that the lights have some orange glow to them. And let's keep it a little on the pink side because I like the kind of pink tones. And then let's give it a little bit of clarity. Now dehaze, watch what dehaze does, right? It takes it up, pushes the blacks way up, and definitely makes it spookier. I think we need a crop here, and I might even want to remove this whole business with the crane here, but let's make sure it's straight. And I want to get rid of this light on the side. So I'm just going to crop this lady out. Let's go something. Let's give lots of room here to put a big shadow. Okay. So let's go something like that. Right. Now for straightness, I use the auto, but I'm trying to eyeball it based on this lamp here and this pole here. So I think that's better. Okay. Now, because I want to take these to Luminar, I can't just right click and say, okay, take these to Luminar. I'm going to have to export them. Okay, so I'm going to export these as high res. Where's my... Okay, so I'm just going to export as high res. I'm going to do Adobe. And for the purposes of this, I'm just going to export them to... I usually put things in my downloads just so I can find them easier. Okay, so I'm just going to put them in my downloads. And then I have to open Luminar to go and add them. Okay, so Luminar is opening. And we're going to add some photos. And let's see, we want that one. And where's the other one? That one. Okay, so we're going to do those two. Okay. And actually, I didn't have to add the shadow because we're going to actually add this one to this one as a layer. So I didn't actually have to bring this one in. But let's just go through the process. Okay, so I exported them both. Now, if I want to get rid of, you know, the noise, I might actually add some noise. I don't like these guys in the yellow suits, so I might get rid of them and you like maybe erase them. Let's see what happens if I erase this guy. His bright yellow suit just really grabs attention. That's pretty decent. It just looks like another chair. Maybe something like that. It's filling in like another bit of white something or other. So I'm trying to minimize duplication. So when you have duplication of something, that's what really sort of gives it away. But that looks okay. That looks believable. His jacket, I might just tone down. And then this guy's pants are a problem. Now he has no legs. Okay, let's put his legs back. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that. And we can use the color tool to bring down the saturation of green. Okay, so I'm not sure if, yeah, so there's green. Yeah, and it also is fixing this green cast over here. And yellow. And then I'm going to bring the luminance of green and yellow down as well. Okay, so those guys are just disappearing. See that? Disappear. But I want to check the whole image. Oops. To see if it's doing anything. Yeah, we're losing the lamp color as well. So I am going to mask it just into these guys here. So I'm just going to paint it in to these guys. Maybe over here too. Like so. Okay. So now it's just fixing that. Okay, now we're ready to add our ghost. We could also do a sky replacement here if we want to make something spookier. So we could try that as well. And I think I want to do that first. Okay. Of course, it's under landscape now. And I want, oops, come back here. I want a sky that is super spooky. So let's see. We want a stormy one. I've got lots of stormy ones. Storm chasing. Here we go. How about some lightning? How about some lightning for some scary stuff? This one looks like maybe a lot. Maybe too much. The purple lightning might work well with this scene because it's kind of bluish, purplish. Wait for it to come in. Or not. Come on. Come on. It's not adding it. Let me try another one. Let's try this one. It's not recognizing the sky. That's pretty weird. It's strange that it's not coming in. I'm going to leave it for a minute. Add the frame back to the delay. It was good. It's got worse. Okay, so I'll go back the other way. How about that? I don't know why it's not adding these skies. Let me try a different sky. Starry Night, Milky Way. Also not working. Interesting. Well, let's just see if it let's just see if it pops in. I'm going to leave it there. Okay, we could also do Twilight and see about changing the color. But I want to get this guy added, okay? So layers in Luminar is over here. And we just need to go find that image. So I'm going to load image. And of course, it's still in my downloads. There it is, okay? And once the image is added, now you just have to click the thumbnail. And there he is, okay? So it puts it in as a default at 50% opacity with a normal blend mode. So I'm actually going to raise it to 100% just for a moment because I want to fix this issue of the cloning bit that wasn't working in Lightroom. So I'm just going to zoom in and try and fix these edges. So he kind of looks like he should have an elbow and an arm. So I'm going to use a harder edge brush. And I want to just go like this. So I'm just kind of painting in where it should be black like this. So remember, it's going to be blended in anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a shadow, right? But it looks like he should have, oops. It looks like he should have an elbow, right? I'll change my strength to a higher amount. Bigger brush. Now he looks like he's got a stump, which is okay, right? Just kind of filling in his arm like this, okay? Yeah, it kind of looks like a sleeve. I'm not too worried about being perfect, okay? We want him to be spooky, not perfect. Maybe just darken his pants down here. There we go. He's kind of got a lump here. And a lump here. Fix his hat. So these are the kinds of things that I sort of play around with and end up playing forever. I feel like I want his hat to be pointier. Should he have a pointier hat? What do you think? Now he looks like an alien. Okay, so now that I've got him sort of cloned. Oops, there we go. What happened here? Now that we've got him sort of cloned, we need to fix the layer. So make sure you're on the layer with the guy. And we're going to change the blend mode to darken or multiply. We'll see which one works best. I had it as hard light in the other one, I think, but I'm going to go with darken. And you can see I've kind of got like a weird outline around him. But I'm going to make him... I want to kind of twist him, but I don't know if I can do that in here. Because I want his shadow to come like this. Right? Across the scene. So it's like massive. Oops. This way. There we go. That's kind of what I wanted. So he's coming like this. And then lower the opacity. So now we've just got this shadow. See? So we got a subtle shadow. Yeah, I think multiply is going to be the best. Okay, so subtle shadow like that. Okay. Now, here's the trick. Like, if we're happy with this, right, and I want to sort of enhance him a little bit more, though, I can just duplicate this layer, okay, And you'll notice that I now have another layer with a different blend mode, right? So I can just intensify him a little bit, or I can even make a double. Okay, so I can make as many of him as I want. So I can change him, I can edit him, right? Make it 2 guys. Maybe I want to take his hat out, right? So we got some spooky dudes coming, or maybe he needs to go over here. Now he looks like a kid. Okay, so you can make as many of him as you want, okay? Now I do think it needs a texture overlay to be more spooky as well. So I'm going to go add a texture, and I think I've got some already in here. I've got bokeh for sure. This one might work well because it's already got blue tones in it. So I'm going to try this one. And of course we need, again, 50% opacity comes in as the default, and it's meant to fit. We can flip it, right, to make it work better. I think I like this part down here in the sky better like that. So let's just try different blend modes. Okay, so that's multiply, looks like brush strokes. I find that overlay and soft light work really well also. Okay, so that one's not bad. I don't know. I'm not sold on the brush strokes. Maybe we need something more grungy looking. So I'm just going to hide that one. Let's try a different one. Sometimes I try 3 or 4 different textures before I get the right one. I use this one on the other image because it's got a dark edge and a light edge. And if I make this black and white, right? So if I flip this one so that it's dark in the sky, I think it's going to do a really nice job. Okay. Now notice it's got that weird color, right? All right. Now I can also expand this so it's bigger and then move it up, right? Because I want to have the top of the church there not in texture. It's something like that, okay? Okay, now remember I'm on this layer. I can make it into black and white, just like that, okay? So now, instead of this layer adding yellow, it's just adding the texture, okay? So you have to just pay really close attention to which layer you're on. I find that textures, like I said, work well with overlay or soft light. And this is another one where I could really... Actually, darken multiply is not bad. I could duplicate this layer. I think I'm going to get rid of this one because I don't think it's working. I could duplicate this layer, or we could try a totally different texture on a different part of the image. So I'm going to duplicate this one, flip it upside down. Okay, so you can see that the texture is now more at the bottom. Let me just hide this one for a minute. Okay. See where the texture is? I'm going to just fit it again. I don't like those blobs up there, but it's giving us texture down here, okay, in the foreground. So I like that. And notice that this layer that I duplicated, it has black and white on it already, okay, because I did black and white on this one before I duplicated it. Okay, so there's both of our layers duplicated. Now that I've got the texture, I'm going to go back and darken the shadows just a little bit. Okay, so you just have to make sure which layer you're on. Like so. I feel like I want to make this guy like really big and come like over top of this. I think if I was doing like a really good job, I would actually have a different shadow, right? So I'd put one guy here. And then I'd put the other guy in a different position. Okay. Oh, it's kind of right between those ladies. I could edit him, right? Because I edited the other guy. But if I want to make him look slightly different, Actually, I want the clone tool. All right, so if I want to clone, I can just clone his hat. So his hat looks different. Apparently, I lost his head. So now he's kind of missing a head, but he's different anyways. he's misshapen. He's definitely got a problem. Okay, so I can do a before and after. Okay, so we solved the problem of the guy in the green suit, added some shadows, manipulated the shadows, and added the grunge. Okay, now if I want to, I have some grunge edges as well. So a grunge edge looks like one of these guys. I'm not sure which one's gonna work. Let's try this one. Okay, so it looks like this, right? And if I rotate it, I can just say, okay, fit it or fill it or stretch it. Okay, so I want to stretch it. Now I want the edges to be dark like this. So I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply and darken it. Right, and now I've got this grunge edge. Okay, so if I do normal, right, we see the white. Darken, multiply. I think multiply is the best one here. Like so. So now we have a spooky Venice. Okay, and if I want to bring it back into Lightroom from here, because I didn't bring it over as a plugin, I just have to export it. But it's here in my catalog. Okay. Back to Lightroom. Any questions? Who are you going to call? Yeah, Rob did the Ghostbuster thing. Can I make the shadow glow? Ah, yes. Okay, I can do that. Let me go back into Luminar. There we go. Okay, so can I make the shadow glow, she says. So we just have to go back into edit. Which one? The top one? Let's make the top one glow. So I just have to be on that layer. And I can use a glow or I can use a blur. Okay, so I could blur the shadow more. And that actually changes it. That looks better. So yeah, good call. Okay, so I've got a blur on that one. And let's try this one. We could do a couple of different things. I could even try like a neon glow. Right, so we've got soft effect, soft focus, or Orton effect. This one doesn't do a whole lot, I don't think, on this one. Gives them a bit of a softer edge. I'm editing this shadow, okay? But where's neon glow? Let's try the neon. Might even do some film grain on this one, right? So on this one, I can do... I forgot how to use this one. I forget I use this one now. I have to draw it. Do I have to draw it? Oh, no. It's the glow I want. Sorry. There we go. Let's do an outer glow. There we go. I'm trying to use the wrong tool here. Outer glow. We could give him sparkles. I don't think he's going to be good with sparkles. So it's looking for... Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if it's doing anything. Let's turn the opacity of this layer up, I think. Let me turn the opacity of the layer up. And outer glow. I don't know if it's doing anything. Let's try inner glow. Oh, it's because we've got the blend mode changed. I think the glow is not turning up. Right? If I change the blend mode of the layer to normal, we may see more of a glow on it. But I think what's happening is because I've got the blend mode changed, it's not going to give me a neon glow. Okay? Like so. Any other questions? Can I make a shadow, a ghost shadow? So how could people get to see the special event? They have to join the community. So if they want to see the special event with Renee Robin, they must join the community. I think this one's too dark. I'm going to lower the opacity on this one just a little bit. But yeah, I think that one turned out really cool, actually. So there's the before and after. I might be inclined to go and erase this this thing here because it bugs me. So I would go erase and then come and get rid of this thing. I don't like this. What do you call it? Crane. Crane. See, look at that. Does a good job. Always zoom in when you're doing erasing like this, right? So I've got a little bit of the wires left here. Even if I get rid of most of it, it's going to be way better, right? Even if I just leave it like that, so it's not taking over the sky. I could do remove power lines and see what it does. Just do it piece by piece. See? Now it just looks like texture. There we go. And once I turn these textures on, we won't even know it's there. Way better. So those are the kind of things that I get picky about. I just didn't like the crane. And I might even come in and get rid of these as well because they also bother me. And I've got the texture layers turned on, so hopefully it'll still work erasing. Just those little things. Even this lady in her purse down here bugs me. Like I don't mind this lady sitting here, but I might attempt to clone this lady out, right? Yes, Lee, you're part of the community, so it'll be recorded and it'll be in the events recordings. Yep. I did explain that. Okay, so let's go back to Lightroom. And let's go back to the collection we were in. Oh, no, the folder. There we go. And let's see what else we got. Is there any of these other ones we want to do? Oops. So we've done the Venice one. I probably have time for one more spooky one. I kind of like this one for some reason. Like I find that the shadows are spooky. We could maybe do something with that. Or do we want to see what I could do with the let's play with the lamp actually, because sometimes things like this that are really simple can end up, looking really good. So this one here, I might be inclined, because to me this is about light. And people ask me often, what kinds of images do you convert to black and white? And I like to convert ones that are all about light to black and white. So when I go this way, okay, now I can do things like punch up the clarity, right? Maybe I don't want clarity. Do we like the lamp glowing? Maybe I want negative clarity, actually. I think I want negative clarity on the lamp and positive clarity on the wall. Okay, so I'm going to do them separately. Okay, I will do some texture. And then I'm going to do shift double click. Give me opposite of what I wanted. Let's go a little more black. Let's go a little more white. Okay, so now we've got some really nice contrast. And you can add contrast with a tone curve, remember? So I've got some pre-made contrast curves, so medium contrast, right? But I can also just add 2 points. So I can just add one here, push it up, add one here, push it down, okay? So this is an S curve. Rob, could you please share a link to the video I did on curves, talking about curves? Okay, so that's adding some texture there or some contrast. Now, to fix the clarity issue, I want to fix this top corner as well. So let's zoom in a little bit. So there's something going on up here. So let me just see if I can get rid of this whole thing. Yep, there we go. It looks like it stamped from there, so that's fine. So now I'm going to pick background and see what it chooses. Hopefully it leaves out the lamp. Yes, okay, perfect. So I want texture and clarity in the background, but not on the lamp. So see how that's adding to the spookiness and the contrast. Okay, and then I'm going to do select subject, so it should give me the lamp, yes. And I'm going to do minus clarity. Okay, I'm even going to brighten it a little bit so that it does overexpose a little because it'll give you more of that glow. So if I increase the whites and lower the clarity, see how it makes the lamp glow a bit more? See that? If I turn off all the masks, so the lamp's got more glow, the walls got more texture. Okay. And if I wanted to, I could actually make the lamp even brighter, right? So if I want it to really glow, right? Like so. So it's clipping a little bit. It's a lamp, right? Do I have any black clipping? Yes. So I think it's kind of a cool image. I want that lamp centered. Normally you don't want perfect center. It's pretty close now. So I'm just going to come in a tiny little bit. So I'm holding down the shift key so I keep the aspect ratio. And now that's absolutely centered. I'm going to make sure that it's straight. Looks like it is. And that's about all I would do to this image, right? But if you want to give it some funky color, this is where we can go into either the tone curve or into color grading. Okay, so if we want to play around with colors, there's some neat things that we can do here. So we can go into shadows and just crank up a color. So what's spooky? Blue, right? So I want to give it that, midnight blue. And then let's go to the highlights and go yellow on them. And you can drag the hue slider or you can drag this around the outside, okay? And then the saturation slider, you can do this one, or you can move this, okay? So I find this clunky to use, so I use the sliders. Okay, but watch what happens. So now we have what's called a split tone, so it's yellow and blue, okay? I can also affect the highlights to darken them or brighten them, and likewise the shadows, okay? So if I want to darken the shadows, here I can also. Like so. So that's kind of cool, right? We can also do a curve, right, in color. So I did a little bit of an S curve here just to add contrast, but we can also add color, okay? So let's stick around with the blue and yellow theme, okay? So if I want blue in the shadows, I have to bring this up, okay? See how blue that becomes? Okay, we can literally make blue and yellow. It's kind of wacky. We can make an abstract, okay, like that. That's a little bit too much blue, but we can get really abstract, okay? And if I don't want the highlights so yellow, I can actually make them green. So if I want green highlights or pink highlights, so whichever way, see how Lightroom tells you what color it's going to be? Like you could see it, right? Maybe I want red highlights. Ooh, like blood. The blood of the vampire. That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah, that's kind of neat. So see what curves is doing? If I turn off the color grading, that's what curves is doing. So combination, we get that. Just with curves, we get that. I kind of like that better, actually, than the color grading. So I might undo all of that. See how I did that real quick? Clicking, double click adjust, and it erases everything. So tone curve, before and after. Okay, so remember we turned this image from color into black and white. If I undo the black and white, okay, there's the color image, but the tone curve is still doing that. Okay. Do we like it? I think it's cool. Maybe a little too much white. I think I did that on the subject. Yeah, let me bring that down. Now it's spooky. Now we have no white, we just have pink. Okay, so pink and blue. So you can really do a lot with these tools. And curves is the same in Luminar, right? So you could do the same thing. Any other questions? Did we lose David? David, are you still with us? Okay, so we did that one. We did that one. We did these ones. Okay, so those are done. Now, if you're out photographing Halloween decorations this year, let me pull this one into Luminar, and we'll do a full edit with Luminar. And if I want to take the raw file, right, I can go export an open source file. So this is the Neo section. So if I do open source file, it would take the raw file right over to Neo. Okay. I think I've already got these in there, but we'll just do it this way. When I do it this way, I still get apply here, meaning I can apply it and it will bring it back into Lightroom after I'm done. But you notice, oh, I don't have develop raw. Oh, because it's not a raw file. Well, that didn't help anyways. All right. So what I want to do here is correct the tilt a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can, there we go. That's helpful. And I want to get rid of the power lines, obviously. And I'm going to crop a lot of the yard out because we don't need all that foreground. And I want to make sure I get all the lights on this side. So about like that. So we've gotten rid of a lot of the problems just with a little bit of a crop. But we should be able to do erase power lines. And apparently Photoshop has a new erase power lines too, which I haven't even tried yet. See, that did a great job. Okay, now I want to do some develop on here. So look at the histogram, right? We had a discussion about this in our Ask Me Anything yesterday in the community, and we talked about calibrating and what happens if your screen is too dark. So even though this might look good on your screen, there's no white here. Okay, so when you go to develop, and curves is in here, so just like in Lightroom, there's nothing that's white. Okay, if I turn on the clipping warnings, I can see that there's black where we see blue, but there's nothing white. So I'm gonna come in until I see some clipping. Okay, so see how it's clipping up here in the windows now? Okay, and notice the histogram. See how it spreads it out? Okay, so I want ever so slightly to come in just until it clips. So there, and then back a little bit. Okay, so I'm using curves to do that because I don't think I could get as far with the black and the white slider. Right, now I don't want it to look like daylight because we still want to be able to see all of these things here. But I want to adjust the color a little bit because I feel like it's kind of pink. There we go. That's more of a brown house, right? And a little bit more bluish. Blue hour. Like that. Okay. And I'm going to give it a little bit more contrast. And let's try AI. Enhanced AI. Because this is one I don't use a lot. But it can do a really good job. Notice how it picks up the shadows and then it's like, okay, it's just daylight. So don't go too far with this one, and especially not with the sky enhancer because look what happens. Okay, so a bunch of things happen. You end up with a halo around stuff often, and you end up with a sky that just does not look realistic. Okay, so I don't use this one very often. Okay, if anything, remember we can use the eyedropper in the develop tool as well for color. So I didn't do that, but we could use the eyedropper and we could put it right here on the white part of the house. Okay, so see how it corrected this to -12 on the magenta? What was I at before? Oh, I was even further down. So it actually gave me more. Let's try, let me zoom in a little bit here. Let's go right there. Okay, so that's what it thinks that is neutral. So that's not bad. Okay, now I'm going to put a vignette, and I want to bring the lights out a little bit more. So I might actually go back to develop and use minus exposure. So remember, exposure affects the midtones. Okay, so when I do minus exposure, the house is going to get darker. Okay, but I can use white to pick up the whites and bring the lights out. Okay, don't want to get the windows. And let's go a little more black. So I want it to look more like nighttime, right? We're kind of at that blue hour. We could go into color and shift the color as well. Okay, so if we want to change these color of these lights, because I'm guessing, well, these look like flamingos, so they should be pink, right? But they look orange. So we could shift, see how the shift of the red goes more pink versus red. So we could shift it a little bit this way. And maybe magenta. I can't decide. I think it's too much orange, too much red. Let's go red that way, orange this way. How's that? Right. The grass has some weird tone in it as well, as does the sky, right? I'm just trying to play around with the sky. See, we could make it spookier, actually. That looks better. This is another good slider here under the color tool, the remove color cast, right? So it tries to pick out any kind of odd color cast, and it does a really good job, but for some reason it darkens. In this case, I don't know if that's such a bad thing. Maybe that's a good thing. Okay. So to bring out, interesting, doesn't like my before and after. So we're just punching up the colors a little bit. And again, if I want this one to be spooky, we can add, maybe a bokeh overlay on here might look cool because there's already the lights and stuff. So let's see. Here's some pink bokeh. Let's see what that looks like. What's it doing up there? Let's just stretch it to fit. There we go. So we just try to create something spooky is what I'm trying to. That's not bad. And then let's do, we're going to need a lighten or a screen mode. Ooh, that's kind of cool. What do you guys think? That's kind of cool. So then it's just like pink bokeh over the sky. Pink bokeh in the sky. That's kind of neat too, actually. So experiment with these things, right? We can make bizarre colors by changing the blend mode. Okay. Let me turn the opacity all the way up. Let's just see what these are doing. Okay, so that's creepy. It looks like the apocalypse. Also creepy. But let's see what happens if I dial it down a little bit. Interesting. Okay, so play with these things. When you're trying to create something unusual, don't worry about if it's weird. Look at it and go, yeah, that's weird, but maybe it's good weird, right? Is this good weird? Maybe it is. That's kind of neat, actually. Screen, lighten and screen are pretty similar. I don't mind that, actually. Yeah, I don't mind that at all, actually. We can add a texture. I think I've got some pink ones down here. This one here has got some pink in it. So I'm trying to kind of go with the whole pink theme here. Flamingos. I wonder if it was somebody's birthday. You know, the flamingo thing. Okay, this one we definitely want to do like an overlay or a screen. Let's try soft light. I'm not convinced it's the right overlay. Or the right. So I'm making things darker, right? Darker and darker and spookier. And I'm just flipping it around to see which, I'm looking at this area of the sky here to see which picks up the best, which orientation is best for it. Kind of like that, but I don't like this spot right here. So I might just enlarge it to get rid of that spot. Okay, so there we go. And remember, you can't do these kinds of things in Lightroom. So you need to have a program that uses layers like Photoshop or Luminar because you can't add two pictures together in Lightroom. Okay. You can kind of replicate like a LUT, which we could also add here, which is the mood tool. You can kind of replicate that in Lightroom, like I said, using camera profiles or those color tools that we just used. So I'm going to turn this one up. Oh, now I have way too many LUTs here. Let's see. Maybe mulled wine. These are all kind of burgundy. I'm not sure these are doing anything. Winter warmth. It's enhancing the texture a little bit. Is it doing anything? Not really. In terms of color, let's see about another one. Retro. This is changing because what's happening here is it's affecting only the texture. Okay, so if I want to add a mood, what I want to do is go back to the original image. So I messed that up myself. Why is that crooked? Oh, that's how we cropped it. So I want to add a mood to the original image, not to the texture overlay. Okay, now let's go back to the mulled wine and try some of these. There we go. Look at that. So now we've got some color changes happening. That's kind of cool. These are kind of spooky. It's like a matte look. I kind of like one of these. Kind of like this one. See how it's giving it this matte look? It's almost like this bokeh is like a full moon, right? So there we have something spooky. I'm happy with that. And if we don't like some of the bokeh, like this one up here, you could just mask it off of this layer, right? So you can go do a mask, erase, just erase it a little bit, right? Like this one up in the corner. Here's a little bright, right? Tone them down, say 50%, just across the top like that. How's that? Maybe I'll tone this one down in the corner just to make the corners darker, like so. So you control everything when you do layers. I'm going to bring this back to Lightroom. Okay. Have we lost everybody, Rob? Wait for it to come back in. I think we've lost most everybody here. There's the image. They're just quiet today. Why are you guys so quiet today? Because we don't get to see your faces, right? That's the advantage of the community, is we get to see each other face to face, not just me talking to myself, which is what I feel like I do for 2 hours here. Yeah, who else is here? How many people are watching? You should have the stats on that. It doesn't give me stats, which is interesting. Or does it? Let me see. No, it doesn't give me stats. Oh, 12 watching. Yes, it does. 12. 12, yeah. Add one more to my sync. Okay, well, it's basically at 1 frame right now. So if I go one more, it's at 0. How's that? Is that better? I can do the clap test again, but we're going to wrap up anyways. How's that? We're going to do our next one is 2 weeks from now. So we're not doing lives every week just for now because it's a lot and I've got lots of things to do in terms of redoing the Luminar course. So let me come back here. So 2 weeks from now, is there anything special happening? Let's just see. What's today? So we'll be past Halloween. I want to see your guys. Is it worse or better with the sync? Looks worse on my end. It's not instant. Okay. I think it's worse, but let me know. Any ideas for what you'd like me to do next time? You can submit images. Well, I'll be taking images from everybody again. And got ideas. Worse. Okay, that's what I thought. No, I don't know how to change it because it went away. Streaming. It went away. I don't know how to change it now. No, my setting is gone. Sorry, guys. I don't know how to change it back. It was a little thing over the video, and now it's not there. Because I changed it to 0. Delay, delay, delay. Don't know. Layers theme. I've done layers recently, Rob. So I don't know about that one. Oh, here we go. How's that? I found it. I found the mic delay thing. As soon as I turned off, the little icon went away. Is that better or worse? I know you guys are going to take 10 seconds to figure it out. I don't know why it changes. I don't know what to do about it. I could put a thing into Ecamm support because we're using Ecamm now. Do you like my camo theme today? Yeah, we did lots of layers today. I mean, most of it was layers. Fall landscapes. Yeah, that's a good idea. Some nice colors. We've done that one before, but absolutely how to enhance like the oranges and stuff. Worse. I can't go any further the other way. I was at 0. So the best I can do is this one here. I don't know if it's this one. Is that worse? Let's just try something here. Okay, I've set it to 20 now. So is that more delay or less? I have it 20 frames, so you'd think it would be more. Karen says way worse, but I think she said that a minute ago. I'm still waiting because it's always 10-second delay. More delay, yeah. Okay, the view is back to 1 frame, so, or 0. I can't go the opposite way. Here, let me see if I go back to this one. How about now? I don't know, Rob. I can change stuff, but it's like, it's just when I change the scene, we need an audio processor, maybe. Yeah, but I need to figure out how to use it. I already got too much new stuff to learn, so it's not better. No, I can't change it other than to change it to 1 frame, and then, or turn it off. It's already as low as it can go without being off. So if it was off, so I'm gonna call it, you guys. Thanks for watching as usual. Everybody's quiet today. What's today? We won't see you for Halloween. I'll see you, those of you in the community, I'll see you for Halloween in the community. And have a spooky week. And I hope you enjoyed and picked up some ideas for creating your own spooky images for Halloween. Sorry for any technical difficulties we've had today. And thanks as always for watching. Give the video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Share it on social media. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We have launched our night workshop, so maybe pop that into the chat as well. So if you'd like to come to Alberta and join Rob and I in person for a night workshop and barbecue and stay in some wonderful log cabins, check out the night workshop. It's going to be a lot of fun, and that's next May. Take care, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. And I like the idea of fall colors. So fall colors, November 6th. Take care.